Long ago, Thrith made the world. He made all the animals too, but at first they were all the same. The sparrow and the kestrel were friends, and they both ate seeds and flies. And the fox and the rabbit were friends, and they both ate grass. Now, El-ahrairah, the prince of rabbits, was among the animals in those days, and he had many wives. He had so many wives that there was no counting them, and the wives had so many young that even Frith could not count them, and they ate the grass and the dandelions and the lettuces and the clover. And after a time, the grass began to grow thin, and the rabbits wandered everywhere, multiplying and eating as they went. Frith said to El-ahrairah, "Prince Rabbit, if you cannot control your people, I shall find ways to control them." But El-ahrairah would not listen and said to Frith, "My people are the strongest in the world, for they breed faster and eat more than any of the other people, and this shows how much they love Lord Frith." Frith could have killed the Prince Rabbit, but he had a mind to keep him in the world because he needed him to sport and jest and play tricks, so he determined to get the better of him. He gave out that he would hold a great meeting where he would give a present to each animal to make each one different from the rest. When the black bird came, he gave him his beautiful song, and when the cow came, he gave her sharp horns and the strength to be afraid of no other creature. And so in their turn came the fox and the stoat and the weasel, and to each of them Frith gave the cunning and the fierceness and the desire to hunt and slay and eat the rabbits. At last El-ahrairah set out for the meeting place, but as he was going, he stopped to rest on a hillside. Whilst he was resting, over the hill came flying the dark swift. "Why," said the swift, "I would not be you, Prince Rabbit. The Frith has given the fox and the weasel cunning hearts and sharp teeth, and to the cat he has given silent feet and eyes that can see in the dark, and they are going to kill and devour all that belongs to you." Frith called over the hills, "Where is El-ahrairah? For all the others have taken their gifts." Frightened, El-ahrairah turned to face the hill and began to dig. Frith came over the hill alone and saw the Prince Rabbit's bottom sticking out of the hole. "My friend, have you seen El-ahrairah? For I am looking for him to give him my gift." "No," he answered, without coming out. "I have not seen him. He is far away." "Then come out of that hole, and I will bless you instead." "No, I cannot," he said. "I am busy. The fox and the weasel are coming. If you want to bless me, you can bless my bottom." "Very well, I will bless your bottom. Bottom be strength and warning and speed forever, and save the life of your master, be it so." And as he spoke, El-ahrairah's tail grew shining white and flashed like a star, and his back legs grew long and powerful. He came out of the hole and tore across the hill faster than any creature in the world. "El-ahrairah, your people cannot rule the world, for I will not have it so. All the world will be your enemy, prince with 1,000 enemies, and whenever they catch you, they will kill you. But first, they must catch you. Digger, listener, runner, prince with the swift warning, be cunning and full of tricks, and your people shall never be destroyed." The tale I just read was the story of the blessing of El-ahrairah from the book Watership Down, written by Richard Adams, which was published in 1972. The original wording is a masterpiece, but for the sake of my inevitable habit of stumbling over words, I simplified it ever so slightly. To very quickly summarise the story for those who don't know, Watership Down tells the tale of a band of rabbits who seeks to find a new home, after a rabbit named Fiver has a vision of impending doom at Sandalford Warren. After travelling for days through several trials and tribulations, Fiver's brother Hazel eventually leads them to Watership Down, only to remember that there's not one single doe amongst them. With the help of a bird called Keehar, they discover a nearby warren, El-ahrairah, who are overcrowded and suffering under the leadership of General Woundwort. Bigwig, the strongest of the Watership rabbits, infiltrates El-ahrairah and with the help of a doe called Heisenflay, releases as many does as possible. They head back to Watership Down to begin their new life, but not before Woundwort catches up with them and unleashes a war. Hazel formulates a plan to save his warren, and it succeeds, bringing peace to Watership Down at last. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's as simplified as I could explain it. If you're not much of a reader and don't plan on reading the book, there are 3 adaptations you can watch. Out of the 3, the 1978 animated film is without a doubt the best version, although it is criticised for being too dark and explicit. If you don't mind a more child-friendly approach to the story, the cartoon, which ran from 1999 to 2001, is decent, despite only being very loosely based on the book. There was also a CGI version made for the BBC and Netflix in 2018, although I have mixed feelings about this version and I intend to make a video in the future discussing my thoughts on it. There was also a sequel to the book published in 1996 titled Tales from Watership Down. I first read Watership Down when I was 15 years old and going through probably the hardest part of my life so far. It quickly became my favourite book of all time, and I've reread it quite a few times since, but I've actually loved it for a lot longer than that. In fact, I first watched the 1978 version at the age of 4, and despite it being traumatic for many, especially children, I was clearly in the minority who loved it. So when I discovered that Watership Down is actually a real place, visiting the area was immediately added to my bucket list. So as you've been watching this art time-lapse of one of my Watership Down illustrations, I bet you've been wondering what it is I'm leading up to. Well, a month ago I finally got the chance to visit, and I decided to vlog the experience. So without further ado, I present the footage from our trip to the real Watership Down. Enjoy! With one of my Watership Down copies in hand, our journey began at the Watership Down Inn, situated just outside Whitchurch. It was about a 4-hour drive from where we live in Lancashire, with one break stop included. We checked in and then we were shown to our room. As we had 5 of the rescue greyhound with us, who is of course named after one of the main characters, we were allocated to one of the garden rooms. I don't know if it was pre-planned or merely a coincidence, but we were allocated to room 5, the perfect room when your dog is literally called Fiver. After such a long journey, and just as any greyhound should, Fiver quickly made himself at home, immediately seeking out the nearest bed. Meanwhile, I observed the room itself. I have to admit, it was genuinely one of the nicest rooms I've ever stayed in. And the staff had also very kindly left Fiver a treat to enjoy. Tired as I was, I completely forgot to film the rest of the evening, so please enjoy this meme instead. The following morning, I woke up early to find Fiver fast asleep. Soon enough, we got ready and headed to the main building to enjoy some breakfast. The staff were very catering and happy to provide a tasty vegan breakfast, which I, once again and unsurprisingly, completely forgot to film. After breakfast, I grabbed my camera bag and we began our walk to the first book location on our itinerary. We actually did the book locations in reverse order to the story, as this was the optimum way to make the most of our time. We started with the River Test, about a 5 to 10 minute walk down from the inn. Next, we headed up Watch Lane until we arrived at a bridle path and spotted a sign for the Watership Down trail. The full trail is actually 24 miles long. Whilst it would be amazing to walk the entire length of it, realistically, that's probably a little bit too much walking, and with it being winter, we only had so many hours of daylight. Eventually we arrived at El-ahrairah, marked by the crossing of two bridle paths, also known as the Crixer. I could easily imagine General Woundwort, Captain Campion, Heisenflay, and all the other El-ahrairah rabbits here. We took a right turn down one of the bridle paths and continued onwards, before we arrived at a bridge overlooking the train tracks, otherwise known as the Iron Road. We continued to follow the path and eventually came to two more parts of the River Test. We headed back to the inn, jumped in the car, and headed to our next destination, the real Watership Down. We parked up on White Hill Road, about a 30-minute walk away from the memorial tree on the down. There were so many red kites flying overhead, a bird of prey species which was absent from the book, as they hadn't yet been reintroduced to the area at the time it was published. And so, we began our ascent of Watership Down. Eventually, we arrived at the memorial tree. To quote another relevant passage from the book, "At this moment, Hazel saw Dandelion, who had run well ahead, squatting on an anthill clear against the sky. Alarmed, he dashed forward. 'Dandelion, get down,' he said. 'Why are you sitting up there?' 'Because I can see,' replied Dandelion with a kind of excited joy. 'Come and look. You can see the whole world.' They could see far in every direction. Fiver had been right. Up here, they would have clear warning of any approach. 'Oh, Frith on the hills,' cried Dandelion. 'He must have made it for us.' 'He may have made it, but Fiver thought of it for us,' answered Hazel. 'Wait till we get him up here. Fiver-rah.' As dusk was setting in, we just had enough time to head to Nafanga Farm, one of the most key locations from the book. At the bottom of the road leading up to the farm, you can also see a pylon, known as the Iron Tree in the story. We headed back to the inn for a short rest, but only managed an hour before heading out for some tea. We had an evening reservation at the White Hart in Overton. They had quite a lot of vegan options on their menu, which is always nice to see. The following morning, we went for breakfast once more, before packing our bags and loading the car. Then we checked out at the inn and thanked the staff for a really nice stay. Before beginning the long drive home, we had a couple more places to visit. The first place on our list was Whitchurch Cemetery, to visit Richard Adams's grave. Not far from the cemetery, we discovered an entire relatively new housing estate, where all of the streets are named after the Watership Down characters. Richard Adams was against building on natural landscapes, hence the story. Unfortunately, it's a difficult situation, as the UK is already one of the most nature-depleted places in the world, but houses are also needed. I assume that's why this particular estate was named after the characters. Not only because it's close to the real book locations, but also as a way to honour the importance of Richard Adams's story and the messages behind it. Finally, we headed to Warren Road in Newbury for a short walk up to where many people have theorised the real Sandalford Warren would have been. Sadly, at the time of making this video, the fate of Sandalford has been sealed and plans to build 360 homes here are set to go ahead. To me, this is really disappointing news. Not only is this basically a true-to-life version of what happened in the book, but Richard Adams would also be devastated to know this was happening to a scenic area he admired so much. With any luck, the plans will be revoked, but with the need for building houses being so strong, I regretfully highly doubt it. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like to support the channel, and make sure to scramble if you want to see more. If you're interested in my art, please feel free to follow me on my social media pages, and if you're interested in any of my designs, I also have a Redbubble shop where you can get my illustrations printed on a variety of products, including the one featured in this video. I'll leave all sorts of handy links and handles in the description. Anyway, thank you again, and goodbye for now.